Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between a discovery call and a presentation in the sales process of your social media marketing agency. And they're two very different things, but people often get super confused about how you situate the discovery call when you're doing a presentation and where these different pieces fit, especially in the grand scheme of a cold call, an outreach message, where that fits in between the outreach message and actually signing a client. So in this video, I'm going to explain the difference between the two and how you need to utilize both. So guys, this is a topic I'm super passionate about just because in our agency, the way we position our sales calls is so different to a lot of social media marketing agencies and very different to the methods in which people teach on YouTube. Hence why our conversion rate in meetings is like 75%, which is fucking crazy. And it's because of this very clear process that we have. So the reason why people get so confused and muddled up with this discovery call, presentation, and sales call process is because people think it's a very rigid step-by-step process. They think, right, every single client I speak to has to go through step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. But it doesn't work like that. Some clients you'll do step 1 to step 4. Some clients you'll do step 1 to 3 to 2 to 4. And it's always changed because every client's so different and every client comes into your world at a different point. So they need different things. So I want to try and take you through a few examples of different ways that this journey's happened for us as an agency, and it will happen for you guys as well. But before we do that, the difference between a discovery call and a presentation is a discovery call, or I like to call it a discovery session, just so that you don't get confused about having to be a separate call, because a discovery session can happen at the start of your presentation. It could even happen on the initial cold call or via DMs. And what that discovery session is simply you asking that client loads of questions. It's you being a doctor rather than a salesperson, which I always like to say, which is asking them probing questions. When you go to the doctor doesn't immediately just go, right, you need this. They go, right, how are you feeling? What's this? What are your symptoms? What happens if this happens? They ask you probing questions to find out what you're dealing with to give you the correct solution. And which is where so many people go wrong. Because if you went to the doctors and the doctors just went, take this drug without asking you what the issue was, you'd be like, no, I'm not taking that drug. The same way a client isn't going to be like, yeah, I'll take your product without you finding out what I actually need. So the discovery session, discovery call can happen on the cold call. It can happen on the initial presentation Zoom call. It could happen on both, where you're literally just asking them questions like, how's business at the minute? What products and service do you wish you were selling more of? Have you done any marketing in the past? In the academy, we've got a full list of qualifying questions and how to literally structure a discovery session, which is super useful. And through that, you then get all the ammunition you need to then close them in the actual presentation. But like I say, that can happen any part of the journey. Usually we like to do it on both. So when we get them into a cold call or we get them on a DM, we'll usually try and have a pre-call with them. So if we book a meeting on a DM, for example, I'll probably say, right, can I give you a call back later today to discuss meeting times? So then I'll call them, we'll book a meeting, and I'll have a little conversation for like 15 minutes with them there, asking them the discovery session questions so I can better prepare for the meeting. And that meeting will be a Zoom call in 2 or 3 days' time where I'll take them through my presentation. Alternatively, if I get them on a cold call and they've got time to talk, I'll ask them some probing questions for the exact same reason to prepare for the presentation a lot better. But if I can't have that pre-call for whatever reason, and they just go from booked meeting, they turn up to the meeting, in the first 15 minutes of that presentation, I will just have a conversation with them. First 5 minutes, I'll just make small talk, get to know them a little bit better as a person, build a bit of rapport with them. And then after that 5 minutes, I'll dive into the discovery questions and I'll just be like, do you mind if I just ask you like 5 or 6 questions just to understand you a bit better? And they'll be like, absolutely. It'll be a relief for them because they'll be like, finally, someone who actually listens to what I need. Then you'll ask them the questions, then you'll go into the presentation. And what's super important with that presentation is you don't turn it into a keynote speech. You don't sit there and you just read slide after slide after slide without talking to them. The presentation is just an aid to help you through a conversation to get you to the end point. For example, if I was having a meeting with you I'd have my presentation up on the screen on Zoom, share my screen, go through the slides, and through the slides, I'd be asking him more questions. I'd be like, right, what do you think of that? Like, what would you do for this type of ad? Or like, do you have any content that you would like to use for an ad? Or there's different questions I can include in my presentation to turn the presentation into a conversation, because no client wants to listen to you ramble on for 30 minutes because they're just going to clock out. It needs to be a conversation aided by a really well put together presentation that converts and pushes them in the right direction to close. So that's kind of the difference, guys. That's the difference between the discovery call and a presentation. The presentation is where you go into the detail of the solution to what you found out in the discovery call. You can't give them a solution to a problem that you don't know because you've not asked them the questions. So it doesn't matter where that discovery session happens, but it has to happen before you go into the presentation, because you need to understand their problems. Otherwise, you're going to be giving them a solution to something that they don't need a solution for. For example, you might be pitching them sales funnel creation when 2 weeks ago they paid 15 grand for a really high converting sales funnel and they just need paid ads. But if you didn't have that discovery session, you wouldn't have known that. And then you just look like an idiot and you've wasted loads of time. So you need to understand the bigger picture and what's been happening. And then more importantly, in that discovery session, you could find out, right, the best question to ask is, have you done any marketing in the past? Are you doing any marketing currently? And they might turn around to you and say, well, yeah, you know what, Harry, we've been paying for radio ads for the past 4 months at 3 grand a month. When you hear that, alarm bells go ringing and you're like, right, I'm going to charge 3 grand a month for social media marketing. And that's going to put them in a hell of a lot better position. But if you didn't have that discovery session, you might have only quoted $800. And obviously your service needs to match that price, but I'm sure you can build a service around that higher fee. Obviously, you've got to include ad spend as well. But that's kind of how it works, guys. And so many people miss out those steps and they rush to the presentation without doing the discovery session, or they're so rushed at getting to stage 5 and 6, but they miss out stage 1 and 2, which is arguably the most important to build rapport and a reputation. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you do want more information on our exact discovery session, questions, how we structure it, how we transition into a presentation, and you literally can copy and paste the exact presentation that we use in our sales meetings today, it's all inside the academy. So click the link in the description. There's a 20-minute video on there that explains everything else that you get if you've not checked it out yet. But the presentation and discovery session is a massive part of it. It's its own module. That'll be super handy for you if you're really struggling to close people in meetings. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. We're back posting every single day, so please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for tomorrow's video.